Okay, so welcome to patch 10.1.5. I didn't do all that much last week. I just did the 8 to get the 3 vault rewards. I did upgrade a couple pieces of gear. Um, so that's how far I got. Probably could have got to 1700. Um, it's gotten more challenging. Around plus 10, people just kind of started to skip ahead to that. So from plus 2 on, people seem to be taking their time more, and I was in some really good groups who were taking the time to actually like figure out the fights and things like that. And then once I got to plus 10, around there, and I've encountered this as I've been pushing um, into hierarchies that people just don't know what they're doing. Tanks don't know how to pull, DPS doesn't know what they're doing, and or doesn't have enough DPS to actually do the run correctly. It is a timed run. People don't seem to understand that. And around 13 or so, like if you wipe, you're pretty much not going to finish it on time. Depending on how bad of a wipe it is. Like you need to actually just wipe, reset, and start over. So if you have a tank that thinks I'm going to solo this, there are quite a few tanks that can kind of keep going and down the boss so everybody can res and keep going, but there are also tanks that cannot. So it just ends up becoming a waste of time. So I last week was one of the weeks that I probably had the most groups just kind of fall apart um, for one reason or another. Or tanks tried to thought they were going to go in and do something creative with their pulls, and it just didn't go well. So as I said, this is reset day for the new patch. Um, So it reset all my talents. So I had to reset all of my talents because I assume because we got augmentation. It said some things to change, so I thought maybe it was just a few here or there. That's kind of the way it's been with the patches so far. But no, it reset everything. So I went back and looked um, when I made um, the guide for the rotation I was using. Um, I had went back and looked around that time because I was looking at the talents and found what I had had and more or less reset everything. The preservation side is exactly the same. The invoker side, for some reason, I kept ending up with points to spend. I don't know if we got more. Um, so I did kind of fine tune some things. So I took Ancient Flame, which works with Emerald Blossom and Verdant Embrace and Living Flame. I seem to be using Living Flame more in the hierarchy, so that should be good. I took Sleepwalk just to have the week that there were um, ghosts, I'll say. I forget what they were actually called. You had to CC them, and I did not have a CC, and I looked at sleepwalk, but it didn't really seem. It says that it causes them to sleepwalk towards you, which didn't seem ideal since I'm healing. And as long as you had at least one or two DPS that week, you were usually fine. Again, people just did not know how to really um, do the affects and the some of the dungeons and things like that. So thought I'll take this. I already had a spot for it, so I had played with it in PvP, so I said, well, I'll take that just in case I need it, because I had things like disintegrate channels 20% faster. I don't use it because it uses um, 3 essence, and I need to save those for green spells, my healing spells. And then I took Twin Guardian, which interacts with Rescue, which I don't use um, terribly a lot. Um, I do use it periodically though, so since it's something I use, it just makes what I use better. So, um, as I said, with Living Flame and Hierarchies, I've been using it more on me and on others. So, Twin Guardian may have a purpose. I typically use it out of combat just to kind of, if someone's falling behind, just to move them up quicker so we can get to the next pull. Usually, groups will be fine until like the end, and then if we wipe for some reason and we're trying to get a to the last boss, I will use it just to, you know, bring whoever's lagging behind up with the rest of the group. So situations like that, kind of my Wind Rush Totem. Been seeing a lot of Shaman take Wind Rush Totem for some reason. Um, so yeah, so those all interact with things that I'm already using, or in the case of Dreamwalk, might need. So I assume the FX will roll back around at some point. Um, plus 14 is when you get the second, so I'll have 2 to deal with. So one way or the other, I'm anticipating having to deal with something else again. Um, so that being said, let's go open the vault. So I'll have all 3 will be an upgrade. 2 will be 434 and 1 will be 431. So an upgraded cloak might be nice. Or, well, the pants aren't actually an upgrade. And then the ring. The ring does have a socket. Taste, critical strike, I'll lose some versatility. The ring might be the way to go. Critical strike and versatility. So, no. Okay, so if I were to learn from my lesson, was to take this off, where does that leave everything? So I would still have 21% critical strike, 9% versatility. So presumably my versatility with a socket would be at least 19, 20%. I've been doing okay with 18. Does anything else have a socket? Just... I could probably make a gem that had... The gems don't really add a lot, though. They do and they don't. So... So I can't... The other thing to think about, I can't upgrade the cloak I have any further. Nor the legs I have. Although the legs I have are higher than the ones the vault wants to offer. So if we rolled those out, it's between the ring and the cloak. So I could very easily... So I could very easily add about... with a socket, presumably, almost another 100 in haste. And critical strike wouldn't hurt. I kind of am iffy about losing versatility, though. That is the only thing. Although if I got this, I could just focus on upgrading everything that has haste on it, which wouldn't be terrible. I think I might do that, because this seems like the better way to go. Because I've got rings already. I've been keeping an extra ring just in case I decided to swap out the Onyx amulet. I don't think I'm going to. It's working fine. The effects, I keep checking recount. And the effects are actually doing something, so I feel like it's worth keeping. So I think the cloak's probably the wiser choice there. And it's the higher of the two, so yeah. And 13 for Vortex Pinnacle. So now let's go upgrade some things. Okay, so I made some changes with my gear. So I swapped out my bracers, put the bracers back on that had the socket, had my gem, and then upgraded those. And that was how I got back to 18. There was that, and then what else was there? I think there was the ring. I think I got the ring. I think that was the other thing. Yeah. I think between the bracers and the ring, that was how I got to 18. Yeah. 'Cause I'm really getting little to nothing in the way of gear dropping. Or if I do, it's lower gear, or it's the same thing. I've gotten most everything, for the most part up until now, from the actual vault. So let's make some crests first. See what we can upgrade. I've only got 400 flight stones. I don't know how far that's going to get me. And I've got 3 crests, so
best goods in the Isles.
First thing I'm gonna do, let's finish. So that's 3 haste. That's 23, so the upgrading the ring would be better. And that's 3, so yeah, so let's upgrade the... Yeah. Kinda wanting to replace my 411 gear now, if at all possible. Okay, so I can go 57. Let's do that. I like that. That works. There we go. 19. Okay. feel good about that. So, versatility increased, pace increased. I have lost some mastery in
May I serve you
swapping
again?
things out, and that doesn't seem to have affected things too much. That's the thing with versatility is since it increases your healing, it's not a substitute, but it works well with the other stats. It kind of supports the other stats. So my haste isn't necessarily ideally where I'd like it, but again with the versatility and I'll say critical strike to some degree. Um, I've been able to do fine. I've got it. 18 seems to be about as low as you can go without it affecting like the global cooldown too much. Much below 18, like it seemed like things were recharging um, noticeably. Like they were recharging slowly. Like there was a noticeable difference. Um, 18 though, 18 was fine. So as long as I got in a semi decent group, we were fine. So I like that. This idea of trying to just um, double down on the same stats and just try to keep one set of gear seems to be working well. So I have learned from some of my mistakes in the past. Um, so, as I said, I kind of want to replace some of my 411 gear. So if I worked on anything else, or if I think there was anything to improve on, probably some of the 411 gear, which I don't think I have too much. I have the helmet. It's one reason why I've been really adamant to try to push my key so I actually get something worthwhile from the vault. So I'm ignoring the Onyx amulet for right now. So yeah, just the two pieces. And the other thing would probably be the trinkets. Spoils of Nefarious, I'm fine with. I don't really use it, so if I could just find something with a really good passive. Um, yeah, and then this does give me a little bit of leech. As I said, though, I've been keeping an eye on Recount, and it's telling me that the stones that are in the Onyx Amulet are still doing something. So, um, like they're doing at least half a million to, you know, just over a million. So that's pretty good when you consider some of my other abilities are up around 5, 6 on any given dungeon. Kind of depends on the dungeon and the group. I've noticed there's no like one set routine for what I'll use. It just kind of depends. There's things I'll use at certain times. Um, Things I'll use on trash pulls and boss fights and things like that. Like the dungeons for the most part are all somewhat standard in kind of how they work. So unless a boss has a specific mechanic, um, you can kind of go in and know like I have to save this for this boss, or I can use this, or what have you. So I've noticed that in some dungeons, I've done them enough times now that I'll use a cooldown um, on a pull that otherwise I might not, just because I know, like, okay, we're not going to need this on the boss fight. We need it now. It'll help with the healing. Um, so, yeah. So, slowly but surely, increasing my item level, my stats. So, and I don't think I didn't take anything that has had a socket. Everything I have that has a socket has something in it. Yeah. So, I think I'm good there. So, yeah. So there you go. Um, yeah. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed that, and thank you for watching.